Today on Pro Church Daily, we're talking about 5 reasons why church apps are vastly overrated.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Pro Church Daily, the show where in 10 minutes or less, you'll get your daily dose of tips and tactics to help your church share the message of Jesus while we navigate the biggest communication shift we've seen in the last 500 years. I'm your host, Alex Mills. I'm joined, as always, by the boss man. It's Brady Shearer. And today, we're talking about 5 reasons that church apps are vastly overrated.
Almost every day I receive a DM, an email, a Facebook, or social message from a church, from a pastor or ministry asking the question, should our church build an app? And it's a fair question, one that I think deserves consideration, and one that I think when we look at the data, for most churches, the answer to that question should become very clear. One thing that I think is important to note, in my experience, is that churches that succeed with digital media tend to do 2 things very well. The first is they make informed decisions based on data, not just blindly following the trends. Informed decisions for their unique circumstance. And second, they don't try to do too much. We as churches, limited resources, we've got to do the best with what we have, and that probably means not trying to do too much. From there, let's start with number 1 of the 5 reasons why church apps are vastly overrated. The first is that mobile apps are crazy expensive.
They really are.
3 different surveys of the average price of a custom mobile application. A VDC survey, Enterprise App Developers, found mobile apps to cost an average of $140,000 each. A Clutch survey of app development companies indicated a median price of $171,000 per app. And a Kinvey survey of CIOs found the average price to be $270,000.
Those numbers are astronomical.
I have had multiple conversations with app developers one-on-one, and they have confirmed these findings. If you want a custom app, be prepared to spend more than $100,000. Baseline, 6 figures. Now, of course, this leads to the question, okay, how are all these churches getting apps? They are using templated systems. Now, I'm not here to bash on templates. I think using pre-existing frameworks that are proven to work is great.
For sure.
But a lot of these app companies will use the marketing messaging of a custom app, which I think can be a little bit misleading because it's not custom. It's a very black and white, pre-built template that's not super even customizable within the template's infrastructure. You're not getting a custom app. You are getting a template. First thing that needs to be understood. Number 2, your church website should be able to do anything that an app can do. The average church mobile app costs about $75 to $200 per month. Better than 6 figures, but still a considerable expense, especially when we consider the average church size is around 100 people. $75 to $200 per month. If a platform was doing a ton of unique things, that could perhaps be warranted. But I think your website should be able to do anything and everything that a church app can do.
For sure.
Consider the following things that have traditionally been things that church apps can do that websites cannot. With the increase of intelligence in web coding languages that are used in web browsers, these things can now be done with a platform like Nucleus, a church website builder, that can be done in apps as well. Such as, is it mobile first? Absolutely. Message notes. You can take message notes inside of Nucleus, follow along with the message, send those those notes to yourself through email, register for events and ministries. You can do that with Nucleus and an app. Integrate directly with a CHMS platform like Church Community Builder or Planning Center. Nucleus can do that just like apps can. Giving built directly in. Nucleus can do that. Dynamically displays video, audio, and written content. Nucleus can do that. So now, really, the app is becoming redundant because you need your website. 35% of all internet traffic is on a desktop. You can't have an app on a desktop. You need to be found in search. You need a place that is yours on every single device, not just on a mobile device. So a website's definitely more important, but if an app can't do anything that a website that's different, then why have both? Why pay for both?
It's a good question.
Smart with our money. Number 3, 90% of app usage is spent on a user's top 5 apps. A lot of the times we'll hear data about the pervasiveness of app use, but it's important to understand that 9 out of every 10 minutes spent on an app is spent in a user's top 5. Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, iMessage. For 50% of users, or for the majority of users, 50% of time is spent in one app. So 90% of time is spent in the top 5. 50%, 1 out of every 2 minutes, is spent in a user's single most used app.
Wow.
So there's really not that much attention that you can grab 1 out of every 10 minutes for your church's app. When they talk about app usage pure volume. It's not an average church app that's made with a template. It's the big giants that have all of our attention. Number 4, this is very timely and fascinating. App discovery is down across several channels, including the App Store.
Yeah.
So ComScore comes out every single year with their big report on mobile apps.
Okay.
And this is the newest report from 2017, super timely. They found that app discovery through the app stores, word of mouth, and advertising, those 3 primary ways of growing a channel such as an app, are all down from the year before. So they came to the conclusion at the end of their report that if you search ComScore 2017 mobile, you can download this report for yourself. They came to the conclusion at the end, they said, is interest waning in apps?
Yeah.
Because the gold rush for apps might be over, and interest is definitely waning at this point. Finally, thing to consider, push notifications. The one thing that an app can do that a website cannot.
Right.
Can desktop websites send notifications? Yes, but it's not the same thing.
No.
And they're very annoying. But push notifications are rarely enabled. Yes, it's a thing that your church app can do that a website cannot, but will it actually be used? The data, spoiler alert, is not that encouraging. As of 2017, less than 1 in 5 people say that they always agree to an app's request to allow push notifications. So you're starting with about 20%.
Okay.
It gets worse as you do a deeper dive. Only 1 in 20 people ages 35 plus say they always allow push notifications. 5%.
Wow.
And if you're thinking, well, that's just older people. The young guys like it. The young gals like it. No, 71% of millennials say they get annoyed when they get too many app notifications. So millennials are more likely to agree to an app's notification, but then they just get upset by it.
Yeah.
Because, well, that's classic millennial. But it just goes to show you that push notifications, ideally, great idea. I can understand why your church would want that.
Right.
But is it worth $75 to $200 per month for a single feature that would be different than your website, for a single feature that is very rarely used?
No.
Is that really, really worth it?
I don't think so. And, I think we're seeing a trend, especially amongst millennials, where we've been so inundated with noise and advertisements and technology. We're seeing a trend where it's like we've all kind of come to this pinnacle where it's like, maybe this is all too much for us. Maybe we need to simplify. Maybe we need to spend less time on our devices. And for me, my phone is on Do Not Disturb all the time. It has been for the last 2 years.
I have 0 notifications allowed.
It's my favorite feature. I have, for work, you can push notifications if you really need to get a hold of each other. But other than that, I don't have little red indicators on my phone because it's just too much for me. And so I think that's where, not just millennials, I think that's where everyone who's connected, this digital generation we're living in, I think that's where we're all trending. We've just had too much. And so for church apps, that's not a good sign.
Again, when we started this episode talking about, churches that, in my experience, succeed and excel with digital media, they try not to do too much.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons. And when it comes down to a single feature that an app could do versus a website, built using a platform like Nucleus, is it really worth that $75 to $200 per month? That's a huge chunk of change.
It really is.
That could be spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
You don't need redundant platforms like that.
No.
We've got to be really frugal and prudent with our money.
Yeah.
If your website cannot do all of those things, I can understand. Get a better website.
Yeah,
Don't build an app. And that's one
Yeah.
of the problems we see with themes and templates like Squarespace or WordPress. They're great, but they're very minimal. And what happens is churches save money up front with a Squarespace, and then they spend a ton more because they end up building a supplemental platform like an app. Why? Because their website wasn't doing its job in the first place.
That's good.
To help your website do its job,
Yep.
we've got 7 downloadable templates. Like I said, I don't hate templates. I think templates are great.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
7 downloadable page templates. We call it the ultimate church page website template library. Long name? Yes. Amazing value?
Yes.
Also yes. ProChurchTools.com/nucleus is the place to get that. One of the pages included in this free download is a new visitors page.
Nice.
And we've completely broken it down. And we talk about one simple way to build trust with new visitors. And you can actually do this technique, this tactic on any single page of a website. I see very few churches using this tactic on their websites. You can use it on yours. It's included in this free download. ProChurchTools.com/nucleus is the place to get that. Thanks for watching this episode of Pro Church Daily. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching today's episode of Pro Church Daily. Make sure you turn on notifications for this channel so you never miss another video, and subscribe as well.
And if you like this video, it'd mean the world to us if you give it a thumbs up.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.